All right, wands at the ready, everyone, because today we're diving headfirst into the magical world of the making of Harry Potter Studio Tour in London.
And judging by this stack of reviews and blog posts you've got, not to mention a podcast transcript someone even sent, yeah, we've got a lot to dig through.
We definitely do. So picture this. You've got that London trip coming up, you're a Harry Potter fan, and you want to know everything about this tour before you go.
Makes sense to me.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So that's what we're here for. We'll equip you with all the insider tips and behind-the-scenes secrets to make your visit truly magical. But first things first, is this whole experience just for diehard Potterheads?
That's a question that came up a few times in these articles, and the general consensus seems to be not necessarily. See, it's more than just a theme park. It's more like a fascinating blend of a museum and an actual movie set.
So you'll see the real props and costumes.
Absolutely. You'll see authentic props, costumes, even get to walk through iconic sets like, the Great Hall.
Oh, speaking of the Great Hall, one article mentioned a really cool detail. The floor is made of real stone.
Isn't that amazing? Imagine 450 actors had to fit in there during filming. We're talking about logistics on a whole other level.
I can't even imagine. And speaking of planning ahead, a lot of these sources stressed booking tickets way in advance.
Oh, absolutely. Months, maybe even a year, especially for those popular dates like, around the holidays.
Wow. So spontaneity is out the window then.
Pretty much. One website even mentioned that tickets for Christmas went on sale almost a whole year in advance.
Wow. Okay. So no last-minute trips to Hogwarts then. But what if you're a bit late to the game and the official website is staring back at you with nothing but sold-out signs?
Well, don't panic just yet. A few seasoned visitors I read about had a clever backup plan. They recommended checking out tour operators.
So those are companies that package the tickets with other things like travel and accommodation?
Exactly. And they might still have some availability even when the official site is all booked up. Might cost you a few extra galleons, though.
Good to know. Now let's talk transport. Any consensus on the best way to actually get to the studios?
This seemed to be a bit of a debate, actually. Some people swear by those bus tours that take you directly there, but, well, it seems you're kind of stuck to their schedule. One reviewer actually had to, sprint through the last part of the tour because they were about to miss their ride back.
Oh, no. Not the ideal way to end a magical experience. Okay, so what's the more, shall we say, relaxed alternative?
The train to Watford Junction seems to be the fan favorite. Then you just hop on the shuttle bus to the studio and you're all set.
Okay, Hogwarts Express it is. Or at least the next best thing. Now, once we're there, swept away by the magic, how much time should we realistically set aside for this adventure?
That's where the official website's estimate of 3.5 hours got a few chuckles from the people we read about.
Oh, really? They thought it was a bit optimistic.
To say the least. 5 hours minimum seemed to be the consensus, especially if you really want to soak it all in.
5 hours. Okay, I'm making a note. Comfy shoes are a must. So, any tips on making the absolute most of those magical 5 hours?
Download the Harry Potter Fan Club app before you go.
Oh, is that the one with all the extra content?
Exactly. It's full of those enchanted keys you can scan throughout the tour for bonus quizzes, behind-the-scenes videos, all kinds of fun stuff.
Now that sounds like something you don't want to miss out on. Now, let's talk sustenance, because 5 hours of exploring a magical world is bound to work up an appetite. One article had a pretty important tip about food.
Oh, right. They do have food at the studio tour, but word on the street is it could be a tad pricey. And you know those queues? Even wizards have their limits.
So packing your own snacks is the way to go.
That seems to be the winning strategy. They have designated areas where you can enjoy your feast.
Practical magic at its finest. Now, on to the dangerous yet oh so enticing part of the experience. Souvenirs.
Ah, yes, the part where everyone's inner Weasley is set free.
And no judgment here, I'm asking for a friend who may or may not have a bit of a galleon problem when it comes to anything Harry Potter related.
I hear you. And judging by these articles, your friend's not alone. Every single one mentioned the gift shop, and it sounds like a real challenge to resist. They really do have everything.
So how do we navigate this magical marketplace without, needing to remortgage our homes? Again, asking for a friend.
The most common advice, and this came up a lot, was to set a budget. Before you even step foot in the gift shop, decide on a spending limit and try your best to stick to it. And here's another tip I really like. Wait until the end of the tour to buy anything.
That's really smart. That way you won't be lugging bags full of goodies around, and you'll have a better sense of what you really want. That's seriously good advice. Outsmarting temptation before it even gets a chance? Very clever.
Absolutely. Oh, and here's another little gem I came across. If you happen to be celebrating your birthday, let the staff know.
Oh, really? What do they do?
They've got a little surprise for birthday visitors.
I love those little extra touches. And speaking of extra touches, that digital guide we talked about, one reviewer who used it was raving about the behind the scenes footage you get access to.
Oh, right. Like what?
Things like time lapses of them actually building that incredible Hogwarts model, and even interviews with the special effects team.
That's so cool. It's like peeking behind the curtain and seeing how the magic is made, right?
Exactly. And it's not just about the big, impressive sets either. One article highlighted how many interactive elements there are throughout the whole tour.
Oh, yeah. What kind of interactive stuff?
Well, they mentioned things like you can pull levers to make the pots stir themselves.
No way. That's cool.
Yeah, and you can even peek behind screens to see how they created some of the creatures.
Oh, that's awesome. Sounds like they've really thought of everything to make you feel like you're actually stepping into the movies.
Right. It's not just about looking and observing, it's about really getting involved and experiencing it all firsthand. Now, I can't let this conversation go any further without addressing the elephant-sized hippogriff in the room.
Let me guess. Butterbeer.
You know it. Did our sources confirm or deny the existence of this mythical beverage at the studio tour?
Oh, it's there, all right. Multiple sources, even that podcast transcript, they all agree a trip to the studio tour isn't complete without a taste of butterbeer.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
Well, the consensus seems to be that it's pretty darn sweet.
So maybe pace yourself, or share with a friend unless you've got an extreme sweet tooth. Speaking of friends, and resisting the allure of the gift shop.
Yeah, good luck with that. Did anyone actually manage to escape without buying anything?
Not from what I read, but did anyone mention any particularly awesome things they picked up? Or maybe regretting not getting something, like, oh, I wish I'd bought that when I had the chance.
Oh, totally. One reviewer even joked about needing an extension charm on their luggage just to fit in all their souvenirs.
No way. What kind of stuff are we
What?
talking about here?
You name it, they've got it. Wands, robes, those little golden Smith replicas, even those chocolate frogs with the collectible wizard cards inside.
Oh man, I can see it now, the galleons just flying out of my pocket. Any advice from the trenches on how to handle the gift shop strategically?
One source had a really good tip. Before you buy anything, walk through the entire shop first, just to get a lay of the land.
Oh, that is good advice. Combating those impulse buys.
Right.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Were there any particular moments from the tour that people just couldn't stop raving about? Those pinch me, I'm dreaming kind of experiences?
Oh, absolutely. Seeing that massive Hogwarts model for the first time, getting to walk onto the actual Hogwarts Express set, even stepping inside the Gryffindor common room. Those seem to be universal wow moments.
Yes. I can only imagine. It's like stepping right into your childhood dreams. Okay, so those the big ones, but what about those smaller, more unexpected moments? Did any of those stand out?
One podcast guest told a story about the Forbidden Forest section of the tour. Apparently, they have this incredibly lifelike buckbeak animatronic.
No way. That's amazing. What does it do?
Well, it moves, it blinks, and get this, if you bow to it, it bows back.
Are you kidding me? That is amazing. Okay, but real talk, the Forbidden Forest. What about those of us who might find it a tad, well, intimidating, asking for a friend who may or may not have a slight fear of spiders?
Oh, you mean Aragog and his family?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. Did our sources happen to mention if those eight-legged friends make an appearance?
They did mention Aragog, but don't worry, they also pointed out that there's actually an alternate route through the Forbidden Forest for those who'd rather not come face to face with the spider family.
Phew. That's good to know. Okay, phew. It sounds like they've really gone above and beyond to make sure there's something for everyone.
Oh, for sure. They've clearly put a lot of thought into making the tour as accessible as possible.
Which is fantastic. Everyone deserves a chance to experience the magic. Now, one last thing before we wrap up this part of our magical journey. Any tips for families with young witches and wizards in tow? Specifically, how do you manage those souvenir expectations?
One article I read had a fantastic suggestion. Give your kids a set amount of wizarding money to spend.
That is brilliant. So they get to experience the fun of choosing their own souvenirs, but without breaking the bank.
Exactly. It's win-win. They learn a bit about budgeting, and you don't have to play the bad guy.
I love it. Okay, as we disapparate from this part of our deep dive into the magical world of the Harry Potter Studio Tour, What would you say is the biggest takeaway from all these firsthand accounts?
After going through all of these reviews and stories, I think what really stands out is that this isn't just a tourist attraction, it's a fully immersive experience.
It's about stepping back into those childhood dreams, reliving the magic of the books and films, and sharing that passion with other fans.
Exactly. And that's something truly special.
Okay, before we wrap up this magical journey, any last words of wisdom for our listeners who are now adding this to their must-do list?
Well, after diving deep into all these accounts, I'd say the most important thing is to approach this experience with both practical planning and a healthy dose of emotional readiness.
What do you mean by emotional readiness?
It's about embracing that childlike sense of wonder. Remember the feeling of first entering the wizarding world through the books or the films. Tap into that.
I love that. So, practically speaking, what should people be prepared for?
First and foremost, book those tickets early, like really early, and have your transport sorted well in advance and be prepared to spend a good chunk of the day there. 5 hours, minimum, maybe even more.
And wear comfortable shoes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You'll be doing a fair bit of walking and maybe pack a portable charger for your phone. You'll be surprised how quickly the battery drains when you're snapping photos and videos of everything.
Speaking of photos, I did notice one article cautioned against getting too caught up in documenting every single detail.
Oh, right. What did they say?
They basically said, don't forget to actually be present in the moment to soak it all in.
That's good advice. It's easy to get caught up in trying to capture the perfect shot, but sometimes you just have to put the camera down and just experience it.
Absolutely. Now, this might seem like a bit of an odd question, but did any of our sources mention anything about the bathrooms?
The bathrooms? Not specifically. But they did emphasize that the studio tour is designed to be accessible and comfortable for everyone.
That's good to know.
This all sounds incredible. I can't believe how much there is to see and do.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There are so many hidden gems and details to discover.
Well, you've definitely given me a serious case of wanderlust. I am so ready to book my ticket and explore the Warner Bros. Studio tour.
That's what we like to hear. And remember, even with all the planning and tips in the world, the most important thing is to go in with an open mind and a sense of adventure.
You're so right. It's about embracing the magic of the moment.
Exactly. So whether you're a seasoned witch or wizard or a first-time visitor to the wizarding world, let yourself get swept away by the wonder of it all.
Beautifully said. This has been an absolutely magical deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
Anytime, my fellow Potterhead.
And for all you listeners out there, ready to embark on your own Harry Potter studio tour adventures, we've got tons of helpful links and resources in the show notes.
We've got links to ticket booking sites, transportation info, even a packing list so you don't forget any essentials.
So make sure to check those out, and until next time, happy exploring.